I just love meeting people, and you have no idea what they do for a living. I remember one of my clients, first time I met her, she's been a client on and off for, oh my God, maybe 10 years now at this point. The first time I met her was in an S Factor dance class, and I met her ass. She had a great ass. And it's really amazing to meet somebody through movement first. Fast forward to my, I always like to be coached and coach. So I'm in a group with John Wineland and Kendra Cunov. And I met this really awesome woman with an accent. I didn't know if she was like Kiwi or Australian. I figured she flew, because there are people that flew in all over the place. I figured that's where she was from. I had no clue that she actually lived in Austin. Well, actually, she sometimes lives in Austin. I think her new home base is Portugal. Anyways, had no idea what she did in the world, just that I thought she was pretty cool. I think we even shared like lunch together and all these fun things. So as I'm returning for my second workshop with John Wineland, which was going to be in Austin, I thought, I'm just going to interview a bunch of people. And then I figure out she freaking lives there. So amazing. So Emily Gallagher, we had an incredible conversation about burnout from the feminine and how she's working with Alexi in partnership together. And I'm so glad I got these teachings from her and what it really takes for the two of them to complement their superpowers as they work together. I just co-led the Goddess Getaway before my annual retreat. I'm in Mexico right now, in Isla Mujeres right now. And I wish I'd asked even more questions about what it takes to truly be in feminine partnership together. Like, I heard the words that Emily was sharing with me, but until I actually got on the court and began co-leading this with the Goddess Getaway portion of my annual retreat, I didn't understand my strengths and my weaknesses. I didn't understand how to partner. So in general, I lead all my retreats. I'm in charge. I'm gonna walk down here actually. Look where we are. A bunch of yachts. Let's go look. So when I'm in charge, I'm in charge. And I have an event coordinator who has my back. But when the incredible, gloriously talented, gift to humanity, Myola Woods, was leading the Goddess Getaway portion, I just sort of got out of the way. I just sort of relinquished all power to her, and away you go and lead the retreat, and I'll just sort of be in the background. But I realized we had a rupture on the first night, and we repaired it gloriously the next day, and it was because I didn't have her back. I didn't just go into the masculine pole of spaciousness and presence. I just left, let her do the whole thing, which unbeknownst to me and unbeknownst to her made her feel like there was a lot of pressure on her to have to lead everything and not the extra energy to be able to coach as well. And I never saw that. I never saw that the best way to co-lead an event was for me to hold space and for her to lead and for me to have her back. So that created a rupture. And when I think about partnership in general, the sharing of power, the figure eight, I didn't have her back. So even though I was super, super cranky and pissed and triggered and all the things, we did the work. We did the work to get back to repair. We did the work to get back to, what could have worked better? And what I realized is it's still my company. It's still my retreat. Even though she's leading the beginning part of it, I still need to hold space. I still need to have her back. And we need to create even more agreements between the two of us of how we're going to handle situations. And so even though all of that was learned, there's some things you just can't learn until you just freaking get on the court of life. So there's no way I would have experienced that growth and that learning and that rupture and that repair had I not just gone for it. So that's another way of saying we're never going to get it perfect. We're never going to know what we don't know until we go for it and jump off the cliff and jump into the river. Except not jumping into here because apparently there's alligators and boa constrictors in the trees. And there's a lot of very large iguanas around here, so need to be careful. So as you go into this incredible interview, talking about the muse, this incredible creative energy that can arise within the feminine when we freaking take better care of ourselves. when we share responsibilities together with other women, when we fill up our cup first, when we don't come from burnout and thinking our worth is our accomplishments, when we really rest into the beauty, the glory, the divinity, the muse that we truly are. You're going to learn a lot from this woman. And then I don't know if there's anything that's going to turn you on more than the two of us dancing together after the show in the Patreon. Holy crappers. We got down. It was sexy. The answers to the questions were also very, very sexy and alluring. But I'm just going to say we could have danced for days, just bringing out each other's muse. It was hot. It was fun. So join us after on Patreon as well. Enjoy this incredible interview with the muse, Emily Gallagher. Welcome to Intimate Conversations, Season 13, Heart Broken Open, where intimacy is an inside job. Hello and welcome to Intimate Conversations, Season 13, Heart Broken Open. I'm here today with a delicious girlfriend who I'm just starting to get to know, the very sexy, very beautiful Emily Gallagher, who I had no idea you were in business with Alexi. She was supposed to be here, but she is being a mama extraordinaire right now at home. Mm-hmm. So although I'm very excited to meet her, I'm also very excited that it's just you and me, so that we get to go even deeper together. So I'll begin by reading your professional bio so I know how extraordinary you are. Emily Gallagher is a certified life and embodiment coach, a TEDx speaker, co-founder of Muse, a transformative company designed to help high-performing women create integrated and embodied wholeness and experience a life that feels as good as it looks. With over 13 years of experience coaching thousands of high-performing women through her programs, private work, and global events, Emily is a master at guiding women through the complexities of modern life, love, and work, while reconnecting them to their bodies and reclaiming their feminine essence. I'll just say right now, we were teasing before we started recording. I'm like, let's just lap dance. Should we just lap dance?
The likelihood of that happening is high. Let's just put that out there.
I just love you. After building her coaching business, Conscious Boss, into a 7-figure enterprise, Emily encountered her own burnout, which led to a deep healing journey. And like many women, she has been driven by deep-rooted feelings of inadequacy and hypervigilance, which, while contributing to her success, left her disconnected from her true self or a sense of aliveness in her life. This experience inspired her to shift focus towards creating lasting, sustainable change so women could still have it all, yet in a new, more feminine way. And in 2022, Emily co-founded Muse with longtime business partner and friend Alexi Panos. Together through online programs, embodiment retreats, and immersions, they tackle the chronic stress and disconnection many women experience living predominantly from their masculine survival energy. And through their proprietary Muse method, which focuses on the nervous system, somatic work, and embodiment, they help women rediscover their sensuality, aliveness, and intuition, transforming not only how they relate to themselves, but also creating deeper intimacy and connection in their relationships. And so Emily's on a mission, slap your ass. Whenever I say mission, you got to slap your ass.
Ooh, yeah.
To help women create a life that feels vibrant, magnetic, juicy as fuck, and true to their authentic selves, both in all areas of life, love, and work. And you can find her at emgallagher.com, emgallagher.com. All of this will be in the show notes. And also with awakenthemuse.com. And there's a quiz even at awakenthemuse.com/quiz. Okay, there's the official bio.
That is very official. It's funny. I was talking to Alexi about that yesterday. And I was like, she's like, oh, just send the whole thing and they'll take what they need. Like, it's pretty lengthy, but
it is pretty lengthy, but we want to set the stage. We want to set the stage and do all the due diligence. But I have to say, I didn't know what you did when we first met, right?
Totally.
We just met in this group where none of us have job titles. We just show up in our authenticity.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember which lunch I was at with you or where we were together, but just or maybe we were dancing in one of the practices. But like, you play all out. That's what I noticed about you. You play all out.
I received that.
Which invites me to play all out.
Totally. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And you have a really sexy accent, so we need to figure that part out.
Ooh, I love that.
I'm from Canada originally.
Okay, amazing.
So, and you're not obviously from here originally.
No, I'm from New Zealand originally.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Kiwi.
Okay. Kiwi. But I've spent a lot of time overseas, so my accent, I mean, of course, you can't really hear your own accent, but at this point, I think it's a little merged. But I'm proud if there's still some Kiwi accent in there.
Yeah. When did you, how old are you? When did you come over? How did that all happen?
Yeah, I mean, I left for the first time when I was 21. So I did a semester of my study in Hong Kong, actually. It's probably like the best thing I ever did. Really allowed me to like see the world.
Yeah.
But I came to the US for the first time in 2016.
Okay.
Yeah, and been kind of coming in and out a lot since then.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a second home, but, don't tell the government that.
Yeah. So are you an alien or are you a citizen?
No. I actually live in Portugal. So, yeah. Yeah.
Of course you do.
Yeah, of course, naturally. Just the furthest place from New Zealand. Yeah, so I just got back into Austin about 2 days ago. So I live in Portugal now. But obviously Lex is here, my business partner, and a whole host of my friends are here. So a big part of my life is here in the US.
Wow.
But the visa process and all those things just is kind of draining.
Of course it is. I understand.
Yeah, exactly. You do. So I now live in Portugal and I kind of come and go.
Amazing modern woman making it all work.
It's a global world.
It is. I left on Uncle Phil's 18-wheeler semi when I was 19 from Canada to LA to be a dancer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ooh, can't wait for a dance.
Since I was 5. I was like a trained dancer and I was going to be in Disneyland or something like that.
Yeah.
Failed.
Oh, redirected.
Well, because I was Canadian.
Oh, you couldn't do it?
I was like, I'm talented enough. I'm courageous enough. I got on friggin' Uncle Phil's 18-wheeler semi. Like, what?
What else do you want from me?
You're going to turn me away? They're like, yes. But you can dance in a show in Japan.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because everybody needed visas.
Yeah, yeah.
So I moved to Tokyo.
Okay, wow.
And I lived there for 4 years.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So that was my dancing, modeling, English teaching kind of days. Been to Hong Kong.
Oh, yeah.
Several times.
So great. I really think it's such a like empowering thing to do at a young age. I think because it just really does allow you to see like, oh, I could do that.
I could do anything.
Oh, I could move there and that could be a thing. I think
totally.
It's a really beautiful experience to have early on to like really see how big the world is, but at the same time kind of small, like that you can do that.
Yeah, you can do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I backpacked all over Southeast Asia. Amazing. One of my best friends was from Adelaide, Australia. So I went there. I haven't been to New Zealand yet.
Oh, yeah, you get to.
Got to, yes. And this whole idea that you're just going to set up shop in Portugal and create your own life is so empowering.
Yeah. Well, actually, so in our last, the training that you and I are in, how we know each other, I'm not sure if you remember, but I got on the mic and I was in so much resistance to actually making a choice of where to be. Because I travel so much and I have a very hungry soul, I've been told before, right? It's very adventurous. I love experiences. So that means I just move around a lot. But I had so much resistance to like signing a lease and like kind of saying, hey, here, roots. I'm going to be for, the roots. But like I yearned for it so much, like that stability. And that intensive really allowed me to see like, okay, I actually get to like really commit to this. And it's a big piece of the work that we do, like the internal masculine and the internal feminine of like really creating my own containment of like, what do you need? So give that to yourself. So now I live in this beautiful beach house in Portugal. All I can hear is waves and birds and I'm on the cliffs every day and I see the ocean every day and my heart is very happy there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Similarly, I'm in South Carolina right now on this little barrier island. Walk the beach all the time. It's very quiet. There's deer in the front yard and an owl that likes to say goodnight to me. And
Sweet.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I feel like you, like I'm a big traveler.
Yeah.
But without the roots, I'm destabilized.
It's so destabilizing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just found myself really like putting it off for a long time, and it's because I'm single and like calling in my man and the whole piece and and I found myself like kind of getting into this slightly insidious loop of like when he comes then I'll know where I want to be, make those decisions, X, Y, and Z, right? And it's a really easy trap to fall into, this kind of like externalized sense of safety and grounding, and it's so much of the work that we do with the women that we work with. really, like reclaiming that and going, okay, this is what I need from myself to feel good, to show up how I want to show up and to have that base. And trusting, I think, as well, and knowing like that only what is more aligned will come from those choices, right? Because there's also fear of that, like making one choice, saying yes to something and saying no to something else. And, you know, it's quite isolated where I am. There's not like, you know, I'm single, I'm dating. It's not like a huge pool of people, but it's like I get to trust that like what I'm choosing for me is in alignment for what else like is going to come in from there, you know?
Yeah, you're reminding me because I just turned 55 in January.
Woo, baby.
Yes. And my girlfriend invited me out to a music
When's
event.
your birthday in January?
January 15th.
I'm 14th.
Stop it.
No.
Josh is the 16th.
That's right, he is. Oh my goodness.
Okay, this is awesome.
Wow, the Capricorns are in the house today.
Yes, totally. Okay, this is so awesome.
Wow, love it.
Okay, we have to do something
Yeah.
while we're together here.
Exactly.
We have to like 3 cupcakes or something.
Something. 14th, 15th, 16th. That's cute.
Yeah, so I can't remember what I just said because I was so excited about
You're with your girlfriend or something?
Oh, yeah,
You
right.
just
thank
turned
you.
55?
Yeah. You were saying there aren't a lot of dating pools around where we live.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because she took me out for my birthday to this, where I live, this little music thing at the local community hall / church.
Amazing.
And everybody had blue or purple hair, like gray hair, white hair. So
we can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one around to date.
Okay, yeah.
But for me, the energy and the rootedness is a vortex.
Yeah.
It's a guidance system. Like I just need what I need.
Yeah.
And I, like you, not like you, but I wanted to wait for him till I figured out where I was going to live.
Yeah.
Or my son to return
Yeah.
before I figured out where I was going to live.
Yeah.
And I was just in this waiting pattern. It's almost like I was in this permakegel.
Totally.
Like I wouldn't let my
Yeah.
hips, my
Yeah.
vagina, like root into the earth and just be here.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'm going to just choose what lights me up. And then this strange feeling, I don't know if you have this feeling, but I feel like my man and my son are here, but neither of them are here.
Right. Yeah, beautiful.
But inside they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you feel right in this moment? Then we'll go into the work you do.
Yeah. Yeah. You mean in terms of how do I feel like in that kind of reference to that?
Yeah, with the internal masculine, do you feel
Yeah.
like that presence is here even though hasn't shown up physically in your life yet?
Yeah. Well, so I'm tending to a tender heart right now. So there was someone that actually was with me and moved into the house with me when I was there, which was really beautiful.
Portugal.
Yeah, in Portugal. Yeah, someone that I met here. So I'm kind of like tending a bit of that energy out. So she's in a slightly sensitive space, but I feel definitely like unified within myself, like in terms of like I know that I have me, and like that feeling is just really grounding in and of itself. Like I feel a depth within myself that is like very new and very grounding. And then of course in my moments of like just true deep alignment and knowing, I'm like, oh, he's here and he's coming for sure. I was very in that flow before my previous interaction or experience, and so I'm getting back to that space for sure.
Beautiful. So it seems like we have, I don't know your story of the hypervigilance and the workaholism. I had unprocessed sexual trauma that I had blocked it out. I knew I was not comfortable around certain people most of my life, but I didn't know until I did a lot of psychedelic somatic integration work, and I got back in my body along with the memories, the physical sensations, even the smells, like everything came back to integrate this trauma, and it all made sense why it all went down that way. And the whole business model built on that had to go.
Right.
And saving everybody else so I could run away from myself had to go. And it's been it's the same business, but at one point it crashed. I built 2 businesses at once and I couldn't do it. So let one go, rebuilt the other from what really matters. So it's I feel like a renaissance even in my 50s to go, okay, what does this true integrated balance look like as a businesswoman? So tell us your story of how this all unfolded.
Yeah, such a big thing. And I feel like the breakdown and the burnout is like such a big piece of that reclamation, because it's like so often we do, because, you know, Lexi and I, both individually and also together, have been working with high-performing women forever and are also high-performing women ourselves. So we know it so viscerally. And both of our lives had to burn down for us to rebuild in this way that is this more like integrated and embodied way. And so much of the women that we work with like come to that too, because I think, what we've built, because we live in a society, right, that validates this achievement, this pushing, this like drive, And it can be so insidious that we don't even see it. And that it's like often really the train has to come so far off the track for us to like go on to the other track, which often means burning something down or like the conditions of life making that happen for you.
Yes.
And so we always can actually kind of celebrate that with the people we work with. It's like, all right, I know right now this is really brutal, but this is actually exciting. Like something new is about to come through.
Yes.
And so for me, it's just, so I was just really driven. And again, I didn't see it until after the meltdown, and I can now have in retrospect, but just totally driven by a sense of proving. So my kind of big pillars in my life, one big area of like my inadequacy and hypervigilance was around my body. So constant battle with my body, totally lived from here up, but like just so much judgment for my body, like over-exercising, abusing my body, binging and restricting. So just like a really low sense of self-worth. Like my value is so contingent on how I looked. So that like really drove me in a lot of ways in my life and took up a lot of bandwidth. And then there was the achiever in me that was also like, you know, top of my class at university, scholarships for overseas, my overseas study, and just like a very, very much driven by achievement, like wanting to be a CEO of a multinational corporation, like just very driven to prove, right? And then that led me to creating my business and, you know, selling out events internationally and, you know, making a lot of money and getting the TEDx and just so externally driven. Like this next media thing will make me valuable. If more people know about me, then I'm valuable, right? And it just led to absolute total burnout. But at the time I couldn't see, like I felt like I was doing well. I felt like I was successful. And it wasn't really until I just totally burnt out when I'd come back from, you know, global travel, running my team. I'd just been traveling the world, a lot of it with Alexi and Preston, and running events, running my programs, coming back for like TEDx rehearsals. And I just hit the wall, and I was like spent 3 weeks in bed where I just could not get out of bed. Like, and I felt like, it was, that was like my big turning point where I just realized, and I was writing in my journal. And again, I was planning three international events, a launch, the TED Talk, and I just come back from a lot of travel. Yeah, it was a lot. And I was just writing through, like, when I get through this, then I'll
live.
Exactly. And it was like, that really hit for me because it was like, wait, I'm just getting through my life. Like, that's what I'm trying to do. Like, once I get to that point over there, and that's what we see with all the women we work with. I mean, this is the conditioning of society. This it's the lie that we've been sold, right? Once you lose 10 pounds, once you make enough money, once you get the hot partner, whatever, fill in your own blank, then you'll land in your life. And it was just such a sobering moment for me to see. And it really allowed me to wake up and realize I needed to do something different. And that was really when I started to bring in a lot more play, really started to like open into like my feminine, because I was also told like, you know, you're quite in your masculine and like that whole narrative, right, of women today being told we're in our masculine, which is, you know, not usually said with a lot of, not usually said as a compliment, right? And that's really a part of the reframing too, because I think that's damaged a lot of us because we then push the masculine away, but it's not we're not in our masculine, right? We're in proving, we're in hypervigilance, we're in survival, we're in striving. And that's different energy, right? That's like wounded masculine. And so that's a big piece of the work that we now do too, is like we do work with women to reclaim a lot of their feminine, but it's also about reclaiming your masculine and bringing that unity. Healthy masculine, and like inner containment, right? Because that's what our feminine needs to come online as well. So that just basically led to a journey of really like melting down, again, like the business that I built kind of melted down. Life sort of almost in a way like guided it away. And I spent several years trying to figure out what the next thing would be, you know, and just over time just melted almost into this new way of being able to live in my body as a woman. And that eventually led to Alexi and I building Awaken the Muse together. So that's the kind of Cliff Notes version.
This is a great friggin' Cliff Notes version. What were some of the darkest pieces to integrate? I know we can't really show a process here, but like speak to how did the value come back from the inside out versus the outside in? Or maybe awaken is a better word.
No, it's a great question. I think the pieces for me, like I kind of alluded to, one of the big pieces for me where I placed my value, once I kind of melted away the work piece, the big piece for me that was the kind of the final piece, which was like a lot of the work, was the body stuff, right? It was like, I need to look a certain way. I need to be thin enough, pretty enough, all of the things.
Yeah.
And that took up so much bandwidth for me. It was like, if my body doesn't look a certain way, I'm not valuable. It was so finite.
Yeah.
And so what really I had to do with that was firstly stop the cycle I was in terms of like, how many calories should I eat? And you need to work out this many days a week. And like really just totally not listening to my body. Like I just overrided my body. I didn't have a body basically unless I was judging it. Right. So yeah, it was a lot. But I think a lot of women live like this. Again,
100%.
You know, all you need to do is go on Instagram and find the cleanses and the calories and all the different diets. And it's all beautiful, whatever works for you. But it has a lot of possibility to kind of lead us, again, externalizing our experience. So like, hey, somebody needs to tell me what I should do with my body versus really being attuned with it. I think it's a big thing for women, especially when we talk about embodiment and coming back into our bodies. Yeah. When we have this really disharmonious relationship with it, where we're in so much judgment, it really limits our experience of really being a woman in a body. So that was really, really big. I had to let go a lot of control. Right? We hate to do that. Just had to let go a lot of control. And it was truly one of the scariest things ever, which sounds so crazy, but to stop dieting and to stop exercising to that degree, to stop hanging on to the place I'd put all my safety. Like that was my rule for safety. If I work out this much and I eat like this and my body looks like this, I'm safe. And to let go of that felt so scary, and to just trust my body and to trust. But that really for me was a really big assignment. And I think it looks different for everybody. Like where is that place in your life where you're externalizing so much of your safety? And then leaning into what it looks like to let that go, because that's generally going to be also where like the value is coming from. You know, like for Alexi, for example, a lot of her value came from producing, working, you know? And so like that's a part of her meltdown story. So everybody has like their own place where you've put all that sense of value and starting to reclaim that. The only way through is through, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh. But I think also because a lot of it, like you said about what created your business too, a lot of times actually we get positively reinforced
100%
for living from that place. Yeah. And a lot of
like
trauma.
Who's more exhausted wins.
Exactly. Who's busiest, who's producing the most, you know? And so it takes a lot of courage to start to be willing to internalize that value experience.
Yes.
Because unfortunately, right, we don't live in a society that super values emotional empowerment or like feeling your feelings and healing, and also a lot of trauma drives success. So like a lot of people are so afraid when they do this work they might not have the edge, which is a whole other thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm remembering, modeling in Japan and dancing in shows, and like it would just be like a run to the bathroom. Everybody like they would purge, bulimia, or they'd come by and like, who wants heroin, and they did all these drugs. And I was so young. The other girls on the show were like 25 to 29ish, and I was 21, and just I was so terrified. And I'm like, oh well, I should. Okay, so how many calories are in the bagel? Then I'll have a Diet Coke. No, it has to be, non-fat cream cheese. Like, it was insane. I would get up at 5:36, go to the gym, teach English all day, go eat my salad for dinner, go dance in a show until midnight, 6 days a week, all over, like, right? I get it. I get it. And I would literally be weighed when I'd go to the modeling agencies. I'd have to be weighed. And, you can't lift weights. Your thighs have to be thinner.
Right,
My first husband, bless him, divorced him, but that's okay. But bless him, because when we got up from Tokyo, we went to New York, and he's like, I want you to throw away all your jeans. I'm going to pay for your membership. Go to Equinox. You're going to get strong. Okay. You're going to need bigger jeans.
Wow.
Because you're going to get some thighs, honey.
Yeah.
You're going to get some strength. And I was very grateful that he kind of, on the one hand, probably enjoyed his model wife. Now he's a Wall Street guy. We had that arrangement or that agreement. You've got the money, I got the looks. We'll do the whole scene. But he had some beautiful qualities too to help me find my strength.
Yeah, beautiful.
But it took me decades.
Oh,
not years, decades. And now that I'm postmenopausal and hair is growing out of strange places, because I don't have a cycle anymore. Like there's a whole other world. Yeah, it's almost like. And this is kind of vulnerable to share, but as a older women. There's a lot of confidence that are attracted to maybe 10 years younger, 15 years younger men, which I suppose like a cougar, that's kind of good for the ego. But I get more insecure around men my own age.
Interesting.
Because I'm like, you're just going to go leave me for somebody 20 years younger.
Right.
Because so many of my friends' husbands have done that.
Right.
As we enter our 50s or 60s, where's the new young girl on the block?
Right.
So there's still stuff. Just when I think I've handled this,
right.
then this whole other wave comes up. I'm like, I thought I was over this.
Right. We were literally talking about that this morning, actually, Chris and Lexi and I, just about the social conditioning, like for women and aging and the construct of it. And I think so much of this whole work, like with the Muse and obviously what you do, and even just being a woman in the world, you really do have to have, and this is why I think this work is so important, because you have to have this strong anchor to like, because there's so much narrative, right? Like there's so much narrative like that, that obviously there's a lot of truth to it. And if we live by that truth, it's obviously going to create an experience for you of like how you're going to see things, how you're going to then sort of maybe show up around these guys versus like just allowing yourself to like fully own like the wisdom, the beauty, the power that comes from being 55, like what you've got over these, me and these others, these younger women. But I think that it does take a lot, because we're in this social construct that does say that a woman's value diminishes as she gets older. That is based on our worth as our looks and our, how we present, and really having the courage to go against that and to hold that as true in your body, something different. It takes a lot, but it's so, again, it's like, we have to kind of be in what do we want to choose? Because ultimately we also have to like be courageous enough to choose what's aligned for us. And like that also means like, what story do I want to tell myself? What do I want to believe about how the world is? And like, because that also affects how we show up. And then it affects obviously what is ultimately true for us. So it's a doozy, but I think that ultimately though, the point is just to be slightly countercultural. It is very courageous to do this work and to believe something different and to really choose yourself, right? And to not buy into, that's what like Preston and I were saying. It's like, as women, like so much of this is also the culture that we create as women together. And I think like not buying into and like individually being like, hey, I'm not going to buy into that. And slowly the ripple potentially allows itself to change when we have these trailblazing women that are like, I am aging gracefully and I am more beautiful and more wise than ever before. Like I love seeing that content, because it's like, hell yeah, let's go.
Totally. You bring up such a great point. Two things. The beliefs, it's exhausting for me to try to keep beliefs going. Like it's just, I just let go of the mind. And the more I integrate through my body, all these different shadows, we'll call them, it's like dropping into a knowing of my worth. And I'm proud of what I've accomplished, but the beliefs come and go and I just make them up. So I just like let go of that. And I'm just dropping into what do my hips say? What does my sacred womb say? What is that pre-verbal knowing? And it's not even a word yet. It hasn't even made a sentence yet, but it's like this way. Like that's one piece that I continue to deepen or listen to. And the second piece is this competition thing. Because I don't know if you remember last, when we were in Sedona as a group together, the last community I was in, massive betrayal by the feminine. And I was too bright a light, and it didn't go very well. And get rid of her and blame it all on her, and go back to the men who were giving her the attention. And it really fucking stung. And so I was scared coming into this community. And I didn't want to be in competition. I'm older than most of you anyway, so it's totally fine. But I'm so craving noble sisterhood or safe sisterhood or sacred sisterhood. Not just, okay, we go away for the weekend, we all dance around naked and we do the goddess thing. Okay, that's one level. But now let's move into the world. Are you still my sister? Or did you go after that client? Did you go after that guy? Like it's a whole other dynamic when you're quote unquote in the real world away from these women's retreats to go, who can I still trust? And how can I be for my sister? How can I be, there's plenty of money, plenty of clients, plenty of men, plenty of money, all the things, and be up under her and do the right thing when she's not looking and go, oh my God, she really is a sister. Like, that's the world I want to live in. And I'm having trouble finding it. But I'm really grateful for you to have met you and to this community. Is like, don't give up.
Right.
If we keep evolving and consciousness keeps evolving, we will create this level of real life sisterhood as well as relationship. So what's your experience with betrayal from the feminine? And
it's something that, I mean, it's just, this is such a meaty topic, just there's so much in there. I think, like, you know, so much of the work that we do is, you know, again, with the body, with the somatics, with the nervous system, because it's like, without addressing that, like when everybody is in scarcity, hypervigilance, survival, and all that story, right? Like then of course this keeps perpetuating because there's a limitation in the mind and in the body that's holding and creating those behaviors. And so again, this is why we're so passionate about bringing these pieces in, because you cannot create sustainable change if you don't address why all that wiring is there and creating this behavior from people.
Totally.
Because to be in an abundance mindset does create rewiring your sense of safety in your body, does create, like, you have to do the work to get to that place to push back against these patterning, which is essentially creating pretty much all of the discontent we see in the world, right? Everybody's wounded and in scarcity and being driven by their nervous systems and their patterns, which is why all of this keeps happening. So in terms of betrayal to the feminine, your question, it's definitely something that comes up a lot in our space. I don't personally have like a huge experience with betrayal with the feminine. I mean, I do. I have stories, obviously, of people who I felt betrayed by, but it's definitely something that we see in our programs, just like the level of the yearning for sisterhood, the yearning for really safe connection, the yearning for really being seen and held by a sisterhood. And I think, to your point, it's like when we come together in these ways where our guards are down, where our hearts are open, where we're evolving and we're connecting together, it's really like we've just seen so much magic in our programs with these women. There's just something, I think there's just like some universal thread and energy that's through there.
It's true.
That's really, really healing. And I think that obviously it's a layered question and a layered kind of solution essentially. But ultimately I think like the more that people are willing to look at themselves and do this work, there isn't as much, and again, it's sort of to that point of like, what do we want to choose to believe and what are we a match for? Because when we become so anchored within ourselves and so safe and so self-sourced and so regulated and expanded in our nervous system, then I think there's also, and if everybody's sort of doing that and we're around those spaces, then every space that we become magnetized to is already inherently so much safer. And so then I think that impacts the experience that we get to have because we're just only a match for that.
Totally.
And then I think also it shows like if you don't engage with that particular behavior, then it's not like you kind of stops there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question. It's just such a juicy and meaty kind of thing to flesh out.
It's important to talk about this.
Yeah.
One of my clients, things were going down. There was people getting fired, et cetera, in her work. And one of her female colleagues, in the stress of it all, said something along the lines of, "Well, you're always in competition with all the other women here," and she is so pro women. She's so pro sisterhood. She's like, and she came to our coaching call. She goes, "There must be something in here because it stung. What am I not seeing?"
Yeah.
And it was time for me to address it because she was ripe to hear it.
Yeah.
And I knew it went all the way back to all the different daughters. There's one daddy, and they are all competing for daddy's love.
Right. Yeah.
And he was never present.
Yeah.
And and then the mom was jealous of the girls. There was all this stuff from childhood going on, where her belief system was, you know, the man's at the top and the women are at the bottom, and there's only scraps, and we have to fight for them.
Yeah.
And we didn't get to that and put all the pieces together till she was willing to feel in her body.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is my sister at work, and I've apparently been throwing her under the bus to get the next position, to get the paycheck, to get the approval of the men in the office. Yeah. Holy shit. And I go, right there, stay, zip it, feel what's going on. And then all this stuff came up. And then all of her behaviors of her own betrayal of her body, her working out too much or the bulimia, all these different things that she went through. We just felt through it all, and piece after piece came in all the way back until she was like purged out. It was only an hour session, but we've done like, I do psychedelic somatic integration work a lot. So we had done a full immersion. And when that occurs on these 1 hour sessions, their bodies can go so much faster. Yeah. Their bodies trust my body, and away we go. But by the end of it, she's like, oh my God, I never saw this. No wonder I've been pulled towards women's work, because it was the work I needed to do. Yeah. And that's so humbling for me, this whole intimacy expert. I'm certainly not a marriage expert. I've been divorced twice.
No, but intimacy is...
But that one I can own because I'm willing to be super brave and go within and meet my shadow parts and be that relatable, no better than, maybe a few steps ahead in a few areas, but behind in a few other areas. Yeah. So I just love this authenticity with other women to own our shit in the presence of another woman. Yeah. And then there's a healing that just ripples. Yeah. It's so beautiful.
It's so beautiful. And I think also just allowing women to truly wake up to like their inherent value, the inherent like magic of the feminine too. Because yes, please. Because I think that's why so many women now are like burnt out and like really feeling like they're on overdrive. They're holding it down at home. They're holding it down in their relationships. They're holding it down at work, and they're like overwhelmed and burnt out.
And they're not even in their body.
And they're not even in their, not even in their body. Like, and I was exercising every single day of my life since I was about 16, but I was not in my body until about 3 years ago. And so there's a difference, I think like that's a really big thing to know. Like you can be moving your body, but not be in your body. Embodiment is very different.
Oh yes, you could be talking your face off and not be in your body.
And you can tell when someone's in or not in their body, right? Once you have the difference, you're like, oh wow, that's stuck. But women are so used to doing that and feeling they need to prove their value, prove their worth, be in competition, because again, they're placing the marker on something that's not where we're supposed to. Again, it's like, like being in competition for the next role or whatever, because in her mind, in her body, right, that's where the next piece of safety is coming from.
Totally.
So like it's life or death to the system.
And it was for a little kid.
Exactly.
It does feel like life or death.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing, like that it's so important to like underline, like the way that everybody is, when you sit with somebody long enough, you realize why it makes sense. And like all of our survival strategies, all of the ways our body is moved and motivated to do something, it makes sense. Like if you go back further enough. And I think like that it's empowering. It's empowering to do that work, because when you keep hitting the same wall in your life, and you just sort of think something's wrong with you, or you don't know why, or like some other person's not this relationship, this person, okay, not this one, that person, to really reclaim like that ownership of the fact that you can literally change your entire life when you start to do this work and be the reason why you can then experience what you want to experience. Like I was deeply desiring partnership for like the longest time. And it wasn't until, and I've been in the work for 10 years, it wasn't until like 2 years ago that I realized, I wonder if there's something that I'm doing here. Seems as I've wanted this for a long time, but it hasn't seemed to be able to create this result. Yeah. And it wasn't until I started to doing that work and started to realize that my whole system was wired for unavailable men because of my childhood, because of my dad, and I didn't even know that 10 years into the work.
Blind spot. Yep.
Total blind spot. And it's like, I share that because it's like you can do a lot and learn a lot and sometimes just like when you're ready like to take a look at it and to take responsibility, you can have it revealed to you of like, oh, wow, like this is actually like why this is happening. And I also get to shift it and get to change it. And that's why like, the nervous system work that we do is so crucial, because it's like you can say, hey, I really want to call in a beautiful, conscious, integrated man and like have this beautiful intimacy, which is what a lot of women want, myself included, and then still not realize you don't have the capacity to hold it.
Totally.
And like that's such a big thing for so many of the women that we work with that are like yearning, and I'm sure you too, like with your relationships and intimacy work, yearning for that connection, but actually don't have the capacity to hold that level of intimacy, to reveal.
Because they don't have it with themselves.
They don't have, exactly. Like intimacy with self, like first. Yeah. And then also, even if you find that, it's like having the capacity to like receive that level of like care and devotion and like feel worthy of it. Like the level to which receiving is such a life's work for so many of us women. Yeah. And again, that's why like melting down the masks and the performance of who we think we need to be as women to be valuable to the man, valuable to society. Like I remember when I used to go on dates and I used to think that talking about my business was like what made me valuable and how much money I made. And I'm like, now what I know about men and dating, it's like that's the last thing they care about. But it's like it was me trying to perform because I thought that's what made me valuable. And there's just so like there's like this renaissance right now, I think, of women really being able to be ready to see the innate, like not the performance, not the proving, but the innate value that they bring as women, like coming into our bodies, coming into our softness, coming into our like ability to be self-sourced, to be like open and juicy and delicious, like you say, and really owning that for themselves. And I think that's a big piece of what is going to heal so much of the feminine, because when you come into that, then it's yours. It's like, oh, what makes me beautiful and juicy as a woman is like innately mine. So whatever you're doing is beautiful because we're not competing for anything.
I see it like a garden with all these different flowers.
Exactly. Yeah. At our embodiment retreat that we run called Embody, we had at the end, we did this, I won't give too much of it away, but essentially just like women just kind of doing their own performance essentially. And it's just like I said, it's like just like the spectrum of aliveness, like all the flavors are so different. What turns someone's body on, what they want to move to, how they come alive is so different. And when you see that, you're like, oh my God, we're all so beautiful. Like it's like, wow, and so different. And then there's no competition. And we're just loving on each other in our like degrees of womanhood.
I love this. I love flirting with other women.
We're so generous like that.
Right? It's the best. How do you define Muse in this?
Yeah, great question. So for us, Muse really is the woman who is, you know, the classical use of the word muse is like, you know, an externalized muse. So like somebody else is like, you're a muse for an artist or you're an inspiration, right? And for us, it's really like becoming how this came about was like us saying like, what if we were the muse of our own life?
That's what I was hoping you were going to say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's like where we just were having this conversation and that came out and we were like, oh my God, yeah, like what would that look like? What would that be? How do we move? Like what would that be?
How would she walk?
Exactly.
How would she speak?
All of that. What would she choose? Who would she date? What would she say no to? Like, and it's really about having the courage to become the muse of your own life. And again, like have your blinders on to like what society tells you should be or do, you know, and really be like attuned to like what makes my life great. Like for me, like, wow, I'm going to move to the beach in Portugal where I don't really know anybody, but that's what my body's telling me to do.
That's what I figured. She and you made that decision.
Yeah, my muse did. And it gives you kind of like, and everybody's relationship with it is different. Like, and we really underline that with Muse. Like nothing that we share is prescriptive. It's all like invitations. How this will land with you will be different, and how your muse comes alive will be different. And it's really about building that muscle to be so attuned to yourself as a woman and to be so courageous to like expand into like playing a little more and being a little more outrageous and like, hey, what would my muse want to wear today? Like what would like how would she shine? How could she play a little more? It just like brings a little more expansion and range to women, and like really just allowing them to like ask themselves that question and really know they always have that answer too.
This is great. And then that just feels like the embodiment of our worth. I am enough.
Which is really deep, and really deep work to, you know, Lexi and I will talk about this sometimes too, of just like how much work that we've done and just like how much work it actually has to take sometimes in this world to actually get to that point. But I think that is also like when we start to see that all of our like these trials and these tribulations and the challenges that we've had to move through are really just like invitations by life for us to know ourselves deeper and to get to this place where we can move through all of the places we used to put our value and worth. And actually, because it's like, it's so much sweeter then to have moved through like, wow, I used to think that and I used to think that, and like, wow, now I really like so much compassion and grace for like getting to this place where we can find that within ourselves. Is just like such a rich, I think it's a part of the reason why we're here. I'm looking at the time. I'm like, don't we have another hour? Right. I know. It goes so fast. So I do so much to pull apart. Though this, why I look forward to meeting her and having a conversation with the two of you at some point is, so we finished the whole Pluto in Capricorn. So all of the patriarch, right? We've done that for 20 years now. We're moving into Pluto in Aquarius, the woman, feminine, divine feminine.
We've got the year of the wood snake, so that's also the feminine. And I feel your choosing to work together as women is right along with where consciousness is going, and that we literally have the planets, numerology, we've got all these other things in alignment with women really supporting each other, and not having so much of the blinders needed with the 20 years of like patriarchy.
Right.
Like the world is shifting.
Yeah.
The world is shifting. And so you were very much on the forefront of that, building your company together. Some of my closing questions will be, where does she trigger you and where does she inspire you?
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Oh, yeah.
As partners, because you each have masculine, you each have feminine.
Totally.
And I imagine, although I haven't met her yet, but I imagine there's the old transactional relationships, right?
Yeah.
Like I need you to save me here and I need to control you so you'll save me there. And then we move into more wholeness, more embodiment. So then we're like this figure eight and we literally awaken the best in each other. But in that awakening, you poke. It's a little uncomfortable sometimes.
Totally. Yeah. I know. I love that question. I wish she was here so she could answer it for me too. But I can share what I would think she would probably say. So for me, Lex is one of the most like abundantly minded people that I know. And so being around her is like such a beautiful expander for me in that way. She's very like abundant thinker, you know, she has emails of offers and things she doesn't look at. Like she just, you know, like it's just, she's very much moves from abundance. And it's just a really beautiful rewiring from my system that comes from more like anxious and more like kind of grasping from my childhood. It's a beautiful repatterning for me in that.
Beautiful.
Where does she trigger me? So we're very different in the sense of, and we've had lots of like conversations throughout I was talking to her about this the other day. I was like, this would probably be a cool thing for us to talk about. Like, how do you do business with like such a close friend? You know, like I'm godmom to one of her babies. Like we're like, they're family to me, you know? And we've had to have a lot of like open conversations about where we're feeling we're at and things like that. So where does she trigger me? I don't know if it's like that she triggers me so much now, but I'm a little more sensitive and she's a little more like get shit done kind of girly. So like sometimes there might just be times where it's like, hey, like I maybe want to process something more, and she's like a little bit more like getting things done. So where it's like, she's sort of moved on. So it's probably it may be that, and that would be the reason that she would probably say the same thing. So like, you know, sometimes she probably thinks that I sit in something too long and she wants me to move on, right? Because she's highly efficient. And what would she say? I'd probably say that like, I think I probably teach her to slow down a little more, maybe take a little more space, take a little more like, you know, I'm single, I move around the world, I have a very beautiful life. And I think sometimes that, you know, I'll make sure that she also takes space for herself and, you know.
Four kids,
Yeah, totally. Four kids, multiple businesses. Yeah, busy woman, husband, you know. And so I think we are very symbiotic in we're also both like, I'm Capricorn, she's Virgo. We're both very efficient. We're both very on time, like diligent. So we both like are aligned in that. And then our just personalities kind of weave in. So I think I allow her to sort of soften some of that need to be on all the time. And she makes me more abundant and in the flow with things.
This is beautiful because I think our gifts for each other are our triggers for each other.
Totally,
right? We're triggering the awakening of that same dormant evolutionary quality within the other. So I love that you see it. I love that you have communication to talk about it and that you're both better.
Totally.
By the sounds of it being together.
Yeah. And I take feedback really well. And she, like, I remember I have this part of my personality called General G, which is like, apparently I was a general in my past life and my last name is Gallagher, when I'm really like rigid and really like, and she will say like, do you realize you're being like really General G right now? And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, got it. Like we can have this communication where it's like, you know, open and safe.
The sacred commander.
Yeah, I like that, exactly. And I call her Gigi now because that's like cute and sweet. So she's kind of integrated. But we can be very open and communicate really effectively together and both care for each other's hearts. And, you know, if we have something to say, then we both receive it well. And like at the end of the day, you know, share from a place of responsibility. And I think that's super important as well. Yeah.
This is great to hear. I'm just moving into I do like yearly retreats with my clients, generally just 5 days.
Yeah.
And, but this year I've brought in one of my clients who's now we're both coaching each other for this next year.
Yeah.
She's a sexual somatic healer.
Oh, cool.
And for the first 2 days, we're doing a goddess getaway and then into the annual retreat.
Yeah.
And it's the first time I've co-created.
Yeah.
And so it's all new for me, but very much inspired by the two of you.
Oh, beautiful.
That there's more. We can create more
Yeah.
with not less effort, but more flow, more ease, more complementary capacities.
Totally.
So I feel that's where the world is going.
Well, and I think that speaks to also like when you heal and you have the capacity to actually like move into something without the fear of betrayal and like that closure, then it opens up more opportunities and possibilities of like, oh wow, there's more available now because there's more of me that feels safe to engage with.
Yeah.
More possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, we've done business together since the day that we met, basically.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that's how I met them. When they came to New Zealand, I was running events. So the first thing we ever did together was work. And then we became, just such great friends. But I think it's also like to speak to like, it still requires that communication and there will be challenges, right? Like nothing's ever perfect. And you just have safety to bring things up.
It's a plant that needs nourishment and pruning and all the things like any conscious being that is growing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love this. Mm-hmm. Okay, in completion, I'm watching the clock.
Yeah.
Okay. What can we hold as a vision that's already done for you? Just to send you some good mojo.
For me?
Gratitude, for being with us today.
You can hold the vision of me with my sexy, intelligent, beautiful, protective, handsome husband. Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Yeah. There's other things that'll be on that list, but you can just hold the vision of how fabulous he is and we are together.
I totally hold that.
Yes.
I totally hold that.
Mm-hmm.
I want you all to go to awakenthemuse.com/quiz.
Yeah.
It's called the Feminine Fundamentals.
Yeah.
And also your website again is...
awakenthemuse.com.
Awakenthemuse.com.
Yeah, basically everything directs to there now. So that quiz will, it's pretty comprehensive. We spent a lot of time putting that together.
Yeah.
And it basically gives everybody kind of just like a bit of an idea about where they are with like we've kind of classified these 8 feminine fundamentals and where you are within each of those and what might be required to bring more of what you want to bring online. Like that. Yeah.
Thank you. That sounds like I was a pole dancer, S Factor in LA for 8 years or so. And so Sheila Kelly has these different the different create
like the different archetypes.
Different archetypes. I wonder if it has anything to do with each other.
No, it's actually not archetypal at all. No,
no,
but it's essentially just kind of like traits and qualities of the feminine in order to like bring more of that online and gives you a little bit of a blueprint of where you are and what might be next. Yes.
Beautiful.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So all of you who have been watching, allow the juiciness, allow the authenticity, the vulnerability, allow the sisterhood, whatever it's bringing up for you. Take a moment when this is done and don't go right off to social media again or what have you. Just take a minute and take an action. An action you normally wouldn't have taken. It could be to go within. It could be to love on your body. It could be to call a girlfriend. It could be something bold you've been afraid to risk and show up with, but some action that this conversation has inspired. We leave you with all the love in our hearts. Thank you for being with us on Intimate Conversations. Thank you, my sister.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.
See you next week on Intimate Conversations. Get out there and make love to life. So I'm still in Isla Mujeres, having been so proud of myself to take a few days after the retreat to replenish. And I'm sitting here and they have these like nets in the trees with these like lights. I don't know if you can kind of see that there's nets there. Well, I just figured it was like good manners to not have leaves fall on the patrons. No, it's because there's boa constrictors in the trees. I can't see them, but apparently they're in there. And over here are all of the beautiful yachts. But there's a sign that says alligators. And then there's iguanas. Big. Big. So I'm relaxing, but with awareness. I have my masculine, divine masculine energy having awareness, consciousness, presence, so I don't get eaten. And I have my feminine energy, which is so delicious, having been so good to myself. The retreat sisterhood is, I feel now that we're in the age of Aquarius, the divine feminine is in charge. There's a lot of action around here. motorcycles, ding bicycles, golf carts. Divine Feminine Partnership, I believe we have a chance to move it from, I don't know what you want to say, less conscious feminine to divine feminine partnership with herself, with sisterhood, with others. I'm so grateful to be with my incredible colleague, sister, client, and I'm her client, Myola Woods. We just did 2 days of sexual somatic healing. My yoni is happy, alive, juicy, communicative, awake. I'm going to share more about this over on Patreon, where I teach at 55 years old. My body is coming online pleasurably, potently, in ways I never knew it could. I never knew how level 4 trauma and abuse and unintegrated emotions. I mean, I know this is what I teach, but you can never see your own blind spots. No clue how awake and juicy, connected, and embodied I could be with the help of Myola's incredible work. So I'll share more about that on Patreon. Back over to the incredibly delicious Emily, who shared, I hope you enjoyed a lot of the wisdom that she shared about her partnership with herself, all the way, the foundation and where she's going to live, recovering from burnout, moving into partnership with Lexi, each of their superpowers balancing each other out, and all to awaken, as they call it, the Muse. There is a beautiful free gift for you to begin to discover where you are with the awakening of your Muse. All the links are in the show notes. Please take that. Please take that test, so you can discover where you are in the awakening of your Muse. Because to me, the Muse is the divine feminine, love expressed unapologetically, your unique creation, and light that's here to be gifted to the planet. And when it's not awakened, how we live in our head, how we overgive, how we burn ourselves out, how we don't choose healthy partnerships, professionally or romantically, and how the work works. So I look forward to you learning so much from Emily and her lived experience and evolution. I look forward to you learning from her, the work that her and Lexi do. I look forward to meeting Lexi. She was supposed to be on that interview, but she has 4 kiddos and was unable to be there. One of them was sick, so perhaps it was meant to be. Maybe her and Preston can be the next interview when I go to Austin to really learn more about conscious relationships. So I'll keep you posted on that. And then lastly, I invite you to witness what sisters believing in sisters, sisters honoring sisters, sisters encouraging the Muse in one another, free of competition, free of comparison, just pure deliciousness of Emily and I dancing in the after the show on Patreon, and really enjoying intimacy and safety and sisterhood. You're going to enjoy it so much. So thank you for following Emily, learning from her. Thank you for joining us over on Patreon so we can go even deeper together. And thank you, Divine Mother of this beautiful universe, Mother Gaia, the beauty, even the lizards and boa constrictors and all the things, all of the creatures, all the creatures on this beautiful planet. So thank you for being with us on Intimate Conversations. I love you with all my heart.